so much. So,
I just want to say 6 months is very extreme for something that you've known was going to be coming down the road for a long time.
we don't know if it's gonna be 6 months. That's just it. So,
Well, if it's in writing, you expect us to vote on it, then it's 6 months. Unless the state says otherwise.
Okay. Anybody else? So the question before you is, shall an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a moratorium on registered caregiver retail stores be enacted? If you are in favor, you will vote yes. If you are opposed, you vote no. Only people who are residents of the town can vote, and you have a green card in front of you. All those in favor? Opposed? The motion fails. All right, we've got Article 3 now. Shall an ordinance entitled Ordinance Establishing a Moratorium on Mobile Homes in the Limited Residential Recreational 1, LRR 1, and Limited Residential Recreational 2, LRR 2, shoreline zoning districts be enacted? The ordinance is in front of you. I will not read the entire ordinance. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Hi, Sheila Burke, 63 Hancock Road. When I first heard about the ordinance, we didn't get a lot of the detail until pretty late. I was like, wait a minute. But now that I really see the detail of the ordinance with my planning board experience, we don't have any way to ensure that those dwellings are safe. You know, that to me is one of the biggest problems that we have with this. But my question, and so I support us looking at that and making sure that safety, structural integrity, wastewater treatment, all of those things are followed. But my question is, why just mobile homes and not mobile, as our ordinance reads, mobile/manufactured homes?
I think it
Why are
says
we-
it. Doesn't it say it in the
Does it
ordinance?
say that?
I think it does.
Okay, so we're gonna look, we'll
It says
look at,
manufactured housing.
okay, so we'll look at not just the mobile
But I think it
home
should
part,
be,
but the manufactured home part.
uh,
And again, the same moratorium
yeah, it's under,
applies.
under the first whereas.
It's like manufactured housing type.
Slab, okay, all right. So we'll be looking at both. And the same moratorium rules apply as to the discussion that we were having earlier. In other words, X number of days unless extended by the select board, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to speak in favor of this. We need detail to make sure people are safe in these things.
Anybody else?
Frank McDermott, 2 McDermott Road. I guess I'm being labeled as a redneck because I live in a manufactured home. And I don't understand what the problem is. If someone is making substandard mobile units, then they should be outlawed in the town. But if they are making a mobile unit that basically meets the requirements, they should not be zoned out. What this says to me is that the newbies and the town board are once again given a middle finger to the working poor.
Yes, please.
Louise Lester, 10 Hartley Lane. We had a public hearing here last night concerning an issue in Raymond with a trailer, the kind that rolls on wheels. And that, from what I understood, was manufactured housing number 1, which is what we're talking about tonight. It is not about a manufactured home that is stick-built essentially, but it's built in a factory and moved to a site. And that, again, is my understanding from last night. I was surprised last night, having spent 20 years in the town hall plus, however not in the code enforcement office, that manufactured housing 1 or trailers are not inspected by our code enforcement officer. it is expected that the manufacturer has done the inspection of this trailer. And we as a town have to accept that. He does not have the right to go in and inspect these homes. The other thing I'd like to say is we do allow them in the rural zones. It's not as if we don't allow them at all. And if I remember correctly, our Village Residential 2 area off of Route 121 can actually have a mobile home park, unless that's been changed in the last 3 years. So it's not as if we are not allowing low-income people, if they're the people that want to have a mobile home, into Raymond. We do allow them, we do encourage them, as far as families are concerned, and true, some people that can't afford a stick-built house might want to do, a trailer. In the shoreland zone, LRR 1 and 2, it probably could be assumed that having a trailer beside $1 million house might devalue the $1 million house. There are people that are biased, and if you wanted to sell your home and your trailer is sitting beside it, you might not be able to sell it. Thank you.
Peter Levitt, Levitt Road. Just a question, because I always have questions. So as far as the state model for low-income housing in Maine, where does Raymond stand? Anybody tell me that? In other words, what percentage of our housing in the town of Raymond is low-income?
I can't tell you, but it's a low percentage.
In the state model, there's actually a state model for that, and so that might bear some looking into in making these type of decisions.
I don't believe there are hundreds of people lining up to put trailers down on Raymond Cape. And if I had $1 million home and it was next to a trailer, and I thought the reason I couldn't sell my $1 million home was because there was a trailer there, I might buy the trailer.
Anne Marie Murch, 2 Canal Road. I was part of that meeting last night for the mobile home, and I was told by a friend who is a broker that when I decide to sell my home, my house isn't going to be marketable because across the street from my house is a trailer. It's a used trailer. It's a 1981. Nobody has asked. We heard that it was a private sale. So who's looking at this? She said about safety, we 100% guarantee, but this trailer is going to be used for rental. When we moved into this development, we stayed there. Nobody moves. How many years? 30 years, I think. We have people that have been living there. We made the decision to stay there instead of move to Falmouth. I believe my right, I don't want to see a mobile home across the street from my house that's going to look like the town dump. We live in a beautiful, beautiful area. You go down the road, it used to be an old sand pit, and it's gorgeous. It's private. It's a family area. And now we're going to have more traffic. It's going to be, I'm sorry, disgusting. If that offends somebody, I'm sorry. But I didn't sign up for that when I moved there. And unfortunately, it is shoreland zoning. And I don't understand how all of a sudden it's there. It was based on, we had a document, I'd like to talk about that too, a document that's sitting behind his desk. It's an excerpt. It says there are not supposed to be mobile homes. Now we're talking about manufactured. So can somebody make up their mind what can and can't go there? Because this is going to affect the sale of my home. And maybe anybody that moves there that's renting. Has anybody been up in Casco to see the kind of shenanigans that go on there? I'm not trying to discriminate or anything. I'm just being clearly honest with you. Have you taken a drive up there to look? Up on Tenny Hill Road, how many times the police are there? We're not talking about just one mobile home, but there's going to be, we believe there's going to be a second one. So it is shoreland, guys, I'm just saying. So.
One of the things that happened out of that meeting last night is there was a motion by the Zoning Board of Appeals to kick it back to the Select Board to do some research on that piece of paper, is what it is. And that's what's going on right now. So Sue Look is the one that's going back on the research to see where this paper is, to see if it was actually an ordinance that was voted in, to see if it was some kind of town regulation, whatever. So that is right now in the process, is what it is.
Sheila Burke, 63 Hancock Road. I would certainly hope that no elected representative of this town would ever consider zoning out affordable housing under any circumstances. But we do have zones for a reason. And this is specifically addressing LLR1 and LLR2. Shoreline zone today is extremely strict in terms of exactly what can go on it. So I hear you, there's probably some history there that needs to be looked at. But again, mobile homes in the classic mobile home form are considered affordable housing. They're in particular in Maine, looked at for seniors as a way to stay in their community when they can't afford or maintain or honestly have mobility within a classic home. But again, and that's my concern. My concern is that we have some authority to make sure that people are safe in our town. We do that for all other types of housing, and I think there should be no exception for this. And again, I cannot see this town passing ordinances to discriminate against anybody. If an ordinance was ever interpreted that way, there'd be lots of outside trouble. You know, I mean, it wouldn't pass unnoticed. So again, I think from my perspective and my planning board experience, we would be looking at trying to just make sure that we have enough enforcement authority when something new goes in to make sure that it's safe, to make sure wastewater is treated properly, all the things that we would do with any other type of housing, with appropriate inspections. Again, it's a different animal, but believe me, I'm sure there's plenty of experience throughout the state and the country that we can rely on. So again, I'm sorry if you don't, you know, if a real estate person is telling you it's affecting your property value, I think, you know, if I have a piece of private property and I'm legally constructing whatever it is in accordance with ordinances, that's my right.
Pete Levitt, 2 Levitt Road. Just to be clear, part of the confusion I have is with the different descriptions of the housing, and I think that needs to be clarified a little bit more. But the bottom line